Okay, it was a bit loud. Yeah, so I think firstly just thank Patty for all the support she's given to Liteflow since we've been incubated in Yellow. It's great to see the attendance that's here tonight, because when I first came to Chiang Mai, I think about 2 years ago, this is what I had envisaged for Yellow. COVID had made things difficult, so yeah, it's great to see that there's such a strong community here who's interested in this topic tonight, so cool. Kudos for turning up. I guess, yeah, firstly, before I jump into the topic for the presentation, I'm just curious, can I see a show of hands of people who are currently working in the Web3 space? Okay, cool. And for the people that have their hands down, how many of you are interested in working in the Web3 space? One hand? Okay, so maybe for the people who are in the Web3 space and who are looking to get into the Web3 space, I have an offer for you guys at the end that you may be interested in. Firstly, as Patty said, so my name is Alan. I'm the co-founder of Liteflow. So our mission is to bridge the gap between NFT projects and their communities, and we do that through an NFT Marketplace. So primarily we work with NFT collections who are looking for a custom marketplace, or we work with traditional Web2 companies that are looking to get into Web3, right? That's a sales pitch over. Now we'll get into the topic of the discussion. So what I'll briefly just jump into is I guess the history of NFTs, just to give a bit more context as to maybe why they became so popular, particularly in 2021. And then I'll just give some use cases in terms of how not only businesses can leverage NFTs, but I think if there's creators in the audience, NFTs are a great way to start generating passive income, right? Okay. So a brief history. So the concept of NFTs is relatively new. I guess we first heard about this back in 2012. There was a blog post published that kind of described how NFTs could be used as an asset on the Bitcoin network, right? But it wasn't until, it wasn't really until 2017 that it really came to prominence. So I guess CryptoKitties was probably a watershed moment for NFTs. People know of CryptoKitties, familiar of them. So for people that aren't, it's kind of like, remember Tamagotchis? There used to be like a little, little device that used to like breed this animal. CryptoKitties was like a game version of that, where you could breed these kitties and then you could sell these kitties. The reason why this is important is it started to get so much traffic and attention that it actually slowed down the Ethereum blockchain. As well as that, and I think this is pretty recently, there were some CryptoKitties that were selling for as high as 170K. The reason why that is interesting is because I think people/businesses started to see an actual way for NFTs to be used, particularly for businesses. All right. Okay. Back. So yeah, that's just a quick overshot of, I guess, some of the key events in the brief history of NFTs. But the year that it really came to prominence was last year, 2021, such to the extent that NFTs, or the word NFT was the word of the year in 2021. So we need to consider, like, how did that come about and why did that actually happen? So just to maybe have a bit of a pause, I'm curious to know, just a show of hands, how many people actually own an NFT? Okay, cool. Bo, would you mind sharing one of the NFTs you own?
I own a dastardly duck.
Okay.
Yeah.
And what was the prime motivation for getting a dastardly duck?
I really liked the creator, and it was like it had a pink background and a communist shirt. So it was like a pinko commie duck.
Okay.
And I thought that was really cool.
Okay. And what's the goal? Are you going to hold it, or are you going to look to sell it?
Yeah, I just wanted a communist duck.
Okay. That makes sense. That makes sense. Okay, moving on. Yeah, so I guess some of the key moments, particularly in 2021, around NFTs. So I think maybe some of you are familiar with NBA Top Shop. For me, that's a really interesting project. I'm a big sports fan, and when I saw that there was the possibility for businesses to really start monetizing their content in a meaningful way, it got my attention. So even let's take Top Shop. One of the famous examples is a LeBron James moment that was captured and purchased for like 200 grand. And for me, that makes sense. Other people might think that's a crazy valuation, but if you're someone who's into like creating sports cards, there has been a pre-existing market for that. So just seeing this in NFTs for me was really interesting. The second image, some of you might recognize this. This is a Beeple example. This NFT art sold for I think about $64 million. Crazy. Then we have an example of Jack Dorsey selling his tweet. So there's a lot of possibilities of how NFTs could be leveraged. And then as a result of this, maybe just to give an insight into, I guess, the level of growth in such a short space of time. So you can, you don't need to be a mathematician to figure out that these are pretty crazy figures. 2021 was a crazy year. And apologies for the flashing if there's anyone who's epileptic. This turn away, it may not be the best view. Light-hearted joke, didn't land. Anyway, going back to how businesses can benefit from NFTs. Right, so I guess one of the things that I hear commonly is when I tell people what I do, they're like, oh yeah, that NFT thing, like they're just JPEGs. Which, prior to really getting into this space, I probably would have said something similar as well, but that isn't the case. There's a lot of use cases for how NFTs can be used. Two areas that I'm particularly interested in is around NFTs for real estate. My co-founder, Anthony, I think he's somewhere here, he'll be on the panel later. He tried to go through the process of purchasing a home, and he just stopped because, in his words, it was a pain in the ass. So where I really see the opportunity here is to use NFTs to just get rid of some of this bureaucracy. So if someone wants to buy a house, they can do it pretty quickly. It's verified in an NFT. You get your house, the owner's happy, they get the money. Cool. Another example would be in terms of DeFi. One example I like referring to here is, say if you have an NFT piece of art, you can use that art as collateral to get a loan. So it's like there's some really interesting ways in which you can use them. Then to go to maybe more particular examples, so Sotheby's, it's a famous auction house. Obviously, if you run an auction house, proving the authenticity and the traceability of your piece of art is pretty important. So Sotheby's is an example that has used this to great effect. Secondly, another way NFTs can be leveraged, and this is more from a brand perspective. I don't know if you've seen, Nike have created Nikeland. It's gaining a lot of traction at the minute. They're using it as a tool to, I guess, attract a new type of customer. And recent figures I've seen, I think they've got maybe about 7 million visitors in the last 6 to 9 months. So I'm seeing a lot of maybe more traditional Web 2 companies beginning to invest more into NFTs. So this was the example in which I pointed out with Anthony and his struggles of buying a house. It's a way to create a link between the digital and the physical worlds. There's one really cool project, it's called Proppy.com, and they're looking to solve this problem of basically cutting a lot of the bureaucracy around purchasing and selling homes. So if you're interested in looking at those guys, that's Proppy.com, Propy.com. The other part, Jan, I kind of gave the example about how Topshop have leveraged moments of, say, a famous sporting moment like LeBron James scoring a dunk and then using that to, I guess, sell it. Where I think this is cool for creators. I don't know if I know Chiang Mai gets a lot of consultants, coaches, and you need to figure out ways to get customers, and you might use a lead magnet or a PDF of, you know, 5 ways to get more customers. What I think it's cool is, like, you know, you can do that as a lead magnet, but you could also use that piece of content as an NFT, then sell it to someone. If they get value from that, then they can sell it to another person, and then you as the creator of that PDF can continue to get royalties. This is why I'm like really excited about the space, particularly for creators. And here, yeah, that's just emphasizing this point about how creators can really, I guess, get financially paid for the impact that they're making. So like if you take platforms like Spotify, you know, really they're screwing over musicians. You know, I think if you need to have like 500,000 plays to get like $9. But there's projects now coming out that are trying to help musicians in particular get reimbursed for the type of content they're producing. Good example of that is Token Tracks, a company based in the UK. If you have time, look them up. And then another thing, NFTs are a way to raise funds. I guess in our own circles, we're familiar with a lot of projects looking to raise funds to expand their project. Traditionally, it's all been about VCs, and you need to go through that process of, you know, kissing ass and stuff like that. But now we're in a world where you don't have to, and this is why I'm super stoked about decentralization and the opportunities it provides. So yeah, I think we're coming up to the end of the presentation. Again, this was just to reiterate, there's a lot of use cases with NFTs. It's not just JPEGs. And then, yeah, the last part. So before we conclude, so one of the things we wanted to mention was, so Liteflow, the company I'm a co-founder of, we're actively hiring right now. We have positions available in marketing, sales, development. So if you are curious and you want to learn more, just go to liteflow.com and we have a tab on the top that says hiring. Click on that and you'll see some of the positions we have available. Alternatively, you can reach me on email or on Twitter. If you want to reach out on email, that's probably the best because I'll get back to you faster. Yeah, and other than that, I hope to meet some of you later tonight. And if you have any questions, we'll catch up over a beer. All right.